The story begins in a mansion already marked by the wear and tear of time, where we are introduced to Lily, a young elf. As soon as she wakes up the protagonist, Xenos, with a radiant smile and immediately takes on the task of preparing tea, so that they can both enjoy it in peace. At this point, it is explained that healers of different levels have specific abilities. Those of level 3 are capable of healing only superficial wounds. Those of level 2 restore the entire body. And those of level 1 have the power to transform the world for the better. The kingdom, called Herset, has a history closely linked to healers, whose contributions were fundamental to the expansion and rise of the empire. At the Royal Hospital, many healers hone their skills in advanced healing magic and, after obtaining their license, set out on their journeys across the kingdom. However, in a secluded corner of this vast land, there is a healer without formal training and without any license to practice the art of healing. And this healer is, without a doubt, Xenos. Recently, he had attended to a patient who, after receiving due treatment, handed him payment for the service provided. As soon as the person walks away, Lily approaches him and informs him that he has a home visit scheduled for that day. Xenos readily agrees, guaranteeing that he will arrive before nightfall. She, in turn, promises that dinner will be ready for her. Soon after, Lily heads to the kitchen, where she begins to prepare the meal. It is at this moment that Carmilla, the specter that inhabits the mansion, approaches to see what she is doing. Upon spying on the stew being prepared, Carmilla expresses her desire to try Lily's cooking, praising the appearance of the dish. Lily proudly replies that she is an excellent cook, as she intends to marry Xenos one day. Carmilla, surprised by the positive statement, smiles and says that she will retire to rest in her room. Shortly afterwards, the door is knocked by a visitor. When Lily goes to the entrance to check who it is, she discovers that it is Sophia, a woman from the lizard men race. Sophia, searching for Xenos, is informed by Lily that he has left to attend a house call. Deciding to wait for him, Sophia settles down. But as soon as she sits down, another visitor arrives. Linga, a woman from the werewolf race, who is also looking for Xenos. Once again, Lily informs her that he has left, which disappoints Linga, who expresses her desire to stroke Xenos' tail as well as lick his body. Sophia, with some determination, declares that she is waiting first and suggests that Linga return home, which sparks fierce competition between the two. At that moment, Lily intercedes, stating that Xenos is hers, which, surprisingly, makes them both calm down. Suddenly, a bang coming from the mansion's entrance announces the arrival of a new visitor. Lo, an orc, responsible for destroying the door upon arrival. Lily patiently informs Lo that Xenos is not at home, but that the others are already inside. However, before entering, Lo will need to repair the damage done. With everyone gathered, Linga begins to criticize the others for imitating her behavior, while Lo asks, bluntly, if they came because of Lily's cooking. The elf, with a smile, announces that the stew is almost ready and invites the visitors to the dinner that will be served when Xenos returns. They all accept with enthusiasm. Some time later, Lily says that she will go out to hang out the clothes and asks them to watch the stew. However, the aroma of the food attracts Linga and Loi, who can't resist and discreetly begin to taste the stew. When they realize the irresistible flavor, they continue to enjoy the meal, without being able to stop. Sophia, reluctantly, feels that they will be scolded by Lily, but the aroma also seduces her, and she ends up joining them. In a matter of minutes, the three completely devoured the stew. When they realize the gravity of the situation, they try to come up with a plausible excuse, but it is in vain. Soon, Lily returns and, upon seeing what happened, confronts her with a mischievous smile. The three try to justify themselves, but when they don't offer an acceptable explanation, Lily threatens to punish them, a joke, of course, but with an even more intimidating smile. This gesture causes the three to start arguing among themselves, but they soon change the subject when someone mentions Xenos. They begin to compare who would be more attractive to him, with Sophia choosing not to participate in the competition. Lily, however, stops the comparisons, explaining that if this continues, Xenos will become angry. She also expresses her sadness at not being able to have dinner with everyone as she had planned. To this, the three apologize and offer to help remake the stew. However, Lily reveals that she no longer has any ingredients. At that moment, Carmilla breaks through the wall and appears visibly angry with what just happened. Upon seeing the situation, the girls kneel down, begging for forgiveness in fear of his reaction. Lily then suggests that everyone go in search of ingredients to remake the meal. The girls quickly accept the proposal and set off to complete the task. Once they are alone, Carmilla expresses her disapproval of Lily's kindness to others, but recognizes her kindness. She also mentions that if the visitors had eaten her food, she would have placed a curse on them, but that is part of her way of acting. Lily calmly explains that she treats people with kindness because she is mature and enjoys everyone's company, although she worries about not being able to finish dinner before Xenos arrives. And while she speaks, Xenos walks through the city streets. As he passes by a demi-human who appears weakened, he realizes that she is in great distress. Moments later, a man appears, complaining that the slave suddenly walked away, claiming to be her owner. She reveals that she feels severe pain in her stomach and, although she sought help at the hospital, she was not helped due to lack of money. The man holds her tightly and drags her back, without caring about her suffering, so that she can continue her work. When they arrive at a cemetery, he violently throws her against a tombstone. This act, however, awakens an evil spirit that begins to take over the girl's body. The man, unaware of what happened, continues to mistreat her, going so far as to give her a strong kick in the stomach. When he turns to leave, the slave, now possessed, attacks him ferociously. After being injured by a deep scratch, the man tries to escape, and on the way, he meets Xenos. He begs for help, explaining that his slave went mad and attacked him, and asks Xenos to help him. Xenos, remaining calm, questions what was happening, and the man replies that they were just harvesting, but due to his injuries, he needs medical attention. He offers a reward if Xenos can defeat the possessed slave. Wasting no time, Xenos prepares for the confrontation, but when he tries to attack, the slave throws stones in his direction. Xenos, with great dexterity, easily dodges each projectile. The man, fascinated by Xenos' skill, insists that he finish off the slave. Xenos, however, refuses, explaining that his purpose is not to kill, but to heal. Angry, the man threatens Xenos, stating that, being an aristocrat, he can easily replace the slave. Xenos maintains his stance and, in a moment of great skill, destroys a huge rock thrown by the slave with a single blow. The man, perplexed, watches, without understanding how a simple healer can accomplish such a feat. As the fight continues, Xenos realizes that the slave has speed greater than that of an ordinary semi-human being. As she moves forward to attack him, Xenos summons a magical barrier that violently hurls her against a ruined building, causing it to collapse on top of the man. Xenos approaches the slave and, with a quick gesture, uses his power to expel the evil spirit that possessed her. Once the spirit is destroyed, Xenos dedicates himself to healing the slave's wounds, restoring her completely without difficulty. The aristocrat rises from the rubble, taking a moment to carefully observe what he had just accomplished, and, as he reflects on what he has done, realizes the immense power he possessed. Recognizing that he was, in fact, a healer, he requests his assistance. However, Xenos, firmly, clarifies that he had already completed his workday, and that, therefore, he should wait until dawn. If he needed your help at that moment, the cost would be considerably high. The aristocrat, in turn, takes out a bag full of gold coins and throws it on the ground, trying to negotiate, but Xenos responds that the amount offered is insufficient. After hearing this statement, the aristocrat argues that that amount was higher than the market value, suggesting that Xenos should not extort him in this way. Xenos then shows an enigmatic smile and reveals that he is a clandestine healer, without any license to operate. He also makes an analogy, stating that its practice is as illegal as the act of looting tombs. However, the aristocrat, visibly confused, declares that he does not understand what he was referring to. Zenos then reminds him that, in his own words, he had referred to a harvest. Ignoring the nobleman's confusion, Zenos proposes an alternative form of payment: the delivery of a woman as compensation. The aristocrat readily accepts the proposal and, after being healed by Zenos, gives him both the gold coins and possession of the woman. Zenos sits next to the young woman until she wakes up. When his eyes open, he introduces himself properly and, directly, clarifies that he has purchased his freedom. He then requests that she reveal her name. The young woman, shyly, replies that her name is Till. Suddenly, Zenos, with a serious expression, asks her to undress, explaining that the amount paid for her was high and he needs to ensure that she is in good physical condition. The young woman, visibly embarrassed, hesitates, but eventually complies with the order, simply removing the upper part of her clothes. Zenos then brings his hand closer to her body to evaluate her, and soon identifies that she has an inflammatory stone in her bile ducts. He also notices that her slouched posture is causing her abdominal pain and, prior to this, he had noticed that she was showing signs of jaundice. Without further delay, Zenos uses his magic to cure her, carrying out the procedure in a matter of seconds. Till, still astonished, asks what he did, since she doesn't understand the process. Zenos explains simply that he just opened his body, removed the calculus and stitched the wound. She, surprised, observes that he did it without any spell or magic circle, and without leaving visible marks. Zenos responds that such a procedure is a common skill among healers, and although she considers it powerful, he sees it as perfectly routine. Although the young woman has difficulty fully understanding, she expresses her gratitude for being cured, but claims she does not know how she can repay the feat. Zenos then makes it clear that he wants compensation in work. He instructs her to get to work immediately. Till, determined, accepts the proposal, deciding to pay the debt with her service, offering herself as a slave. Zenos, in turn, asks if she knows where to find a specific herb he needs, and Till replies yes. She takes her to the place, gives her the herb and, in doing so, Zenos confirms that his debt has finally been paid. Till, although not completely satisfied with the situation, recognizes the fairness of the deal and Zenos declares her free, making it clear that her life now belongs to her and no one else. In response to these words, Till confesses that he still doesn't know exactly what he would like to do, but promises to return to tell him as soon as he finds out. Zenos, with a friendly attitude, accepts her answer and, before taking his leave, mentions that if she suffers any harm again, he can come to her, although the service is no longer free. Later, Zenos returns to his residence, where he is greeted by Lily, who informs him that dinner is still being prepared. He is also greeted by the girls who have just acquired the necessary ingredients. Zenos, however, doesn't pay much attention to the situation and goes to sit down. At that moment, Carmilla, with a suggestive tone, comments that he seems to be in a good mood because of the girl he just met. But Zenos scolds her, asking her not to bother him. Soon after, Lily returns and announces that she will prepare a banquet. But before that, she will serve everyone a drink, a proposal that Zenos accepts with pleasure.